Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. My name is Nurjana D. Adir, reporter from Group 11 for the subject of Introduction to Political Economy. So now, I'm going to discuss what are the two different types of trade. So we have two types of trade. So the first is internal or home trade. Then the second is external trade or foreign trade. So what is the meaning of internal trade? So internal trade is also known as home trade. So it is conducted within the political and geographical boundaries of a country. So in internal trade, it can be at a local, regional, or national level. Hence, trade carried on among traders of Delhi, Mumbai, and etc. So, internal trade is also known as home trade. So, there are two types of internal trade, and these are the wholesale and retail trade. So, what is the meaning of wholesale and retail trade? Wholesale trade. It involves buying in large quantities from producer or manufacturers and selling in lots to retailer for resale to consumer. So, wholesale is a link between manufacturer and retailer. So, a wholesaler occupies permanent position since manufacturers as well as retailer. So, these both are dependent upon him. So, the wholesaler act as an intermediary between producers and the retailers. So, the meaning of retail trade. So, it involves buying in smaller lots from the wholesalers and selling in very small quantity to the consumers for personal use. So, the retail trade is the last link in the chain of distribution. He established link between wholesalers and the consumers. So there are different types of retailers, small as well as large. So small retailers, this includes the hawkers, PDRs, general shops, and etc. And this also called some groceries called retail trade. So now we're going to discuss the external trade. External trade, also called as foreign trade. So it refers to buying and selling between two or more countries. So for instance, or example, so if Mr. X, who is a trader from Mumbai, sells his goods to Mr. Y, so Mr. Y is another trader from New York, then this was an example of external or foreign trade. So, there are also three types of external or foreign trade, and these are the export trade, import trade, and entrepot trade. So, what is export trade? So, when a trader from home country sells his goods to a trader located in another country, it is called export trade. So the example of export trade is if a trader from here in the Philippines then sells his goods to a trader located in China. So that was the example of export trade. Then now, I'm going to discuss what is import trade. So when a trader in home country obtains or purchases goods from a trader located in another country, so it is called import trade. So the some example of import trade is if a trader from Philippines purchased goods from a trader located in China, and that was called import trade. So now here in intrapot trade. So when goods are imported from one country and then re-export after doing some processing, it is called intrapat trade. So in brief, it can be also called as re-export of processed imported goods. Then the example of this is if the Philippines trader purchased some raw materials or spare parts from a Chinese trader. Then the Philippines trader assembles it and then convert into finished good, then re-export to an American trader in USA. So ang pagkakaiba ng tatlong ito is the export trade is sells into another country. Then the import trade is purchase. So bibili from another country. So, ang entrepot trade is bibili ka from another country tapos i-assemble then i-convert into finished product tapos tsaka ito ibebenta sa ibang country. So, that's all for today. Sukran.